please understand that success is happiness, not net dollars in. It's one thing to do free work, it's another thing to do free work with heavy strategy. When I do free work, I try to think of two things. How much exposure is it? Like Tyler will tell you, sitting right here, one of the only times I still do free work is if it's massive exposure. There are 49,000 people in the audience. Like it's live on, it's during the Super, like I'll pay somebody to put me in a Super Bowl commercial. When I get exposure, and that's where I'm at now, for you, when you pick these 5 restaurants, let it be the biggest restaurants in your 30-mile radius. Let it be the kindest. Let it be somebody who has the biggest Instagram following, and maybe you never want to give with expectation, but it's okay to ask. You're like, hey, I'd love to sharpen your knives for free. And then you get in there and the vibes are feeling good. Maybe you're like, hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed it. Wouldn't mind to take a picture for my Instagram, which then makes them say, oh, we'll put you on our Instagram. You can be thoughtful and do it the right way, but if nothing else, if you do it for free for 5 people, you've established that you do it. Word of mouth is a remarkably fascinating thing. Strategic free work is one of the great moves in our society.
If you had a log of the amount of time that you spend each day watching TV or browsing social media, would you be satisfied? If you can take what you are already doing and turn it into money, you will turn your time into value. As you get started in the world of business, you may be pressured into doing some free work in order to get exposure. While this can many times be a way for someone not to pay you for your time, it doesn't mean it's worthless. Provide free work, but only if it benefits you. Be strategic and know exactly how many views, shares, or mentions you could potentially be receiving. Stop spending your money on trying to do business the same way everyone else is doing it. Utilize social media in a way that brings you money and allows you to expand your business and your customer base. Traditional advertising and networking is expensive and time-consuming. You need to use each penny as if it were $1, and you can't do that unless you think ahead to what will be the best use of your time. Another common trap people fall into is to spend too much of that time focusing on their competitors. It's easy to borrow something from another business that has been time-tested and proven, but when you do this, you are already behind the curve. Focus on yourself and develop new ways to succeed and expand. When you are struggling, just remember the important thing is to keep hustling. When you find a way to make money, do it. It can mean long hours and missing out on the day-to-day, but in the end, the more work you put into your own success determines just how much success you will be able to achieve. You decide how you spend all of the time in your day. No matter what you land on, make that time work for you and never waste it again.
I can do business on this thing, and over the next year, I went headfirst and learned about eBay, learned about what was going on in Amazon, started learning the early internet culture, and in 1996, I launched WineLibrary.com, one of the first 2 e-commerce wine businesses in America. From 1998 to 2003, in a 5-year window, I grew my dad's business from a $3 to a $60 million business on very important terms that matter to this entire room. I had no money. It was a $3 million business that had 10% gross profit, $300,000 before expenses. There was no marketing budget. What I needed is to make every penny work like $1. So the strategy became day trading attention. When you day trade attention, my friends, here's what you do. You don't overspend on what everybody believes is tried and true. Everyone. And so what you do when you day trade attention is you have to find angles. What's underpriced? In 1997, I started an email newsletter. Most people that came into my liquor store didn't even know what email was in 1997. I collected it in 1998. I had a 200,000 person email newsletter with 91% open rates. I think everybody does it differently. For me, if we're competing in that market, it's not that I'm gonna look at what you're doing. I'm not the kind of person that will look at what you're doing, appreciate it, and try to add that to my game, which I think a lot of people do well in sports and business. My thing is that I'm so focused on what I'm doing, and I'm making assumptions that you're gonna do great too, and that there's so much abundance. Do I want to lose a pitch to you for Nike Southeast Asia? Absolutely not. Do I think that there's 95% of other people that stink, and if somebody's good, they deserve to win business? I absolutely do. I think it's very bad business to suppress or be petty with other winners. I watch people do it with me all the time, and I laugh. I'm like, your keyboard hate is not gonna stop my growth. It's super common. I would argue keyboard hate fuels my growth. I honestly want to go into Q&A as quickly as possible because I think 70% of you have heard a lot of this, the 30% of you are going to enjoy it, but I think if we can go into the context and the details, it'll be far greater. So actually I'm going to go with a very short version of it because there wasn't that many hands. I was born in the Soviet Union, so I grew up an immigrant. What that means is I grew up very poor. I lived in a studio apartment with 8 family members, so I've got grit, right? Like I'm not scared to work. I think one of the biggest problems right now is we're living through one of the great generations of fake entrepreneurship because so many people were able to raise money, and so you just have people that are not supposed to be running businesses because there was so much capital for the last 7 or 8 years, and that's interesting for me to watch, though the stuff is starting to hit the fan, so that will play itself out. I was a hustler. I know. I was a hustler from the get. I was lemonade stand, baseball cards, all that stuff.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content.